Welcome to another edition of our Lion Fight Zoom chats. As you can see, it's me as usual. It's Nathan Corbett as usual. And our special guest this week, who is grooving in his seat because he is so excited to be here. It's
Yeah.
Kaleb Hunter. And Kaleb, you are going to be joining us on April the 9th in Kansas, show on UFC Fight Pass, of course. And it's a big moment for you. We're going to get right to the question. Everybody, I think, is because he's done such a great job since he came into Line Fight. You are here to disrupt his train, let's say.
Yeah.
How does Kaleb Hunter get it done against Jake Peacock on April 9th?
Without revealing too much, their pressure is one thing. I see a lot of room. I see not a lot of guys have good leads on them. It's they circle out. They kind of play to cater to his style, and I guess naturally I would be the antithesis as someone who does that's well versed in the clinch.
I think he had mentioned that to me too. He said that you excel in the clinch. You're known for being in the clinch and doing damage in there. Is that how you win this fight? Is to get inside on him and kind of do your work on the inside?
Yes,
Plain and simple.
for the majority of it, yeah. The other part is not letting him build a rhythm because man, that dude has once starts flowing, he gets going, and he's very good with mixing his mix ups, using his lead side with his low kicks to high kicks and body kicks.
And it's someone that knows you very well, of course, is Nathan Corbett. He is trained with you. You've been involved in some seminars with him. Nathan, go ahead. I know you have some insight on Kaleb's game plan.
Well, it's good to see you, Kaleb. It's been a long
Good to see you,
time.
Mr. Nathan.
We almost had you on Line Fight there in Vegas last year, and fell through in the weigh-in, of course. But it's good to finally get you on the card. Of course, in the past there was a few issues, and now here it is, your first opportunity on UFC Fight Pass, and of course a big fight, a big name to for you hopefully beat, of course. For a title straight up. Of course, I know Chris well. I know your gym. I know the clinch game is superior in your gym. And have you had many sparring partners? Has Mike been around for you? And have you had some good rounds leading up? Of course, not fighting last year with COVID.
Oh, I mean, the last fight I had was back in New York. It was against Brendan Masonette, and I won it by stoppage in the second round. Hopefully, I'm going to continue the trend. As far as good rounds, I do believe in staying as not taking time off, really. It's a year-round sport, and you never know when you're going to get the call. So I prefer to stay active constantly. And the only thing that changes is when I'm not having a fight, like this last year, is that I'm just improving the areas that I'm weak in. And whereas I'm coming into the fight, or fight time, I focus on what I am good at.
Yeah, so I know that you spent some time, I guess the year before last in Thailand, and you were back living and training in New York City. You're full-time now, back at 8 Points?
Yes, sir.
That's correct. And so going in for this fight, it's a title fight. What does Kaleb want for his 2021 and going forward?
I want to win this one and just keep the train rolling. I know that I didn't know until actually, I believe last week, that there was an immediate title fight after this. And I was like, oh, well, that's great. I'll do it. I'm fine with that. And then I would like to see myself with the strap around my waist.
Yeah, fantastic. So how old are you now again, Kaleb?
I turned 30 in February.
In your prime, feeling in your prime and ready to roll. Yeah. Well, that's great. Well, back to you,
Kaleb.
Scott.
I wanted to ask you about the long delay. I mean, you had the COVID delay on top of that. You had the delay of missing out on a fight because of a weigh-in in Las Vegas. You did get to spend a night at my house, which I'm sure you were thrilled about. But yeah, exactly. So, but has having time off is never great, but having time off in this manner, has it affected you negatively in any way or positively in any way in particular?
I'd say initially it did feel negative, like it was going to be no more fights in the United States. At the time, I was living in New York, and then Chris had called me with an offer from Lion Fight, and my coach at the time was Aaron Fisher, and he was like, "Yeah, go back down to Aaron Fisher. There's probably not going to be any fights in New York for a year, so you should hop on that." And within about 3 or 4 months, I'd moved down here, and I was back to training with other people. And it actually rekindled it made me question what I wanted to do with it. And right when I heard it, I was like, yep, still want to do this. I don't even care how old I get. And just being back at the gym or my old stomping grounds, it made me feel re-energized. And it feels very good to have a team behind me. And not saying there wasn't a team behind me in Aaron, I didn't really know anyone in New York after coming from Thailand. It was, I'm here to fight and I'm here to get my name out there. And they were behind me, but this was just family pretty much coming back.
How important is that to you to have that sort of family atmosphere? Is that we both, Nathan knows Chris really, really well. We know Chris really well. And he has a very close-knit team. It is very much like a family-oriented situation there. How much more important is that for you than, say, just going and showing up at a gym for an hour or 2 hours and leaving every day, having that relationship instead of just being somewhere and leaving?
It's different, whereas I'm somewhere and leaving, it's like it would feel like, say, like Thailand. I didn't know anyone, but I'm glad I felt like family there. If feeling like family, it's like I know I have someone I can rely on there, even if it's not the coach. It's like, oh man, I need help with something. I know my friend will help me with this. And then there's also more bodies here and more people with different styles that I can ask anytime to help. And it's tremendous. I'm close to the gym versus in New York, I had to go by train or ride a bike for an hour, and I had to fit it in between work and then travel for an hour, come back, then travel for another hour to get back home. And I didn't know how good it was to be living close to a gym. So I lived till New York, because Thailand and back at 8 Points, I was always close to the gym, about a walk away.
And who would think it would be the opposite, right? I mean, you'd think being in New York, which is a big fight city, of course, it's actually a disadvantage for you, and going to Winston-Salem, North Carolina is a huge advantage for you.
Yeah. New York, I thought it would be more fights. It wasn't as much competition as I hoped. I was like, it's whatever. I did love training under Crew Aaron. He showed me a lot of new tricks, polished up my hands. Oh, and man, he's a hard ass, and I actually do love a hard ass trainer.
Well,
I'm coming back here.
Yes. Well, I'll be making sure to give Chris a call just to let him know that you don't think he's a hard ass trainer. So I think the next, what have we got left to the fight? 3 weeks.
Yes, sir.
Next 3 weeks going to be a little bit of the hell for you, young man.
I love it.
I'm on the phone right now texting him.
Nathan, I wanted to ask you, you have spent some time with Kaleb. You've spent some time in his gym with Chris and that. What do you like about Kaleb, and where do you see his areas to possibly shine against Jake Peacock?
I think especially with Kaleb's reach and range, I haven't seen Peacock, fight someone with this kind of long range reach. He's really good with his long range teep kicks, his push kicks. He'll come in and he'll clinch on and use those knees really well. So of course the elbows. He mentioned he's sharpened up on his boxing, but for me, I feel like it's that range. But he uses the range well. Some people are tall, but they don't use it as well. He sort of dominates from that, but also loves to clinch. It's one of his strengths as well, but then using that leverage of the height and the long arms to pop those knees up well. So I feel like in this fight for Jake, The hard part of that is, you know, being able to not get caught on the outside and also even on the inside. So doing his work maybe in the middle, but that's definitely the strength advantage. And of course, Kaleb being 30 years old, he's coming into his full strength as a man. So I remember I met him, you know, 4 years ago when I wasn't even living in America. I was just traveling through, and then it was only like 6-8 months after that I moved here, and of course I spent a few times there before he took off to Thailand. So he's matured and grown even since I've remembered him as a younger man. So this is going to be a very, very great fight. I'm very excited about this one. Knowing both fighters, it gives me a lot of excitement, of course. So I'm just excited, man. I'm just really excited.
That's awesome. Well, good words. Hey, Kaleb, when you get a pretty good review like that from Nathan Corbett, I think it gives you an extra incentive to perform well on April 9th on UFC Fight Pass, doesn't it?
Yeah, I've never actually been a main event, or really, I think I've been on TV once or twice, but it was never this scale. So the incentive to perform is it's high. I don't feel a lot of pressure. I initially in fighting, it was like, a bunch of people. They always go away when the bell rings.
Exactly.
Well, we are looking forward to it. Kaleb, thank you very much for joining us tonight. You are going to be ready to go on April 9th against Jake Peacock, lion fight on UFC Fight Pass. Again, thank you, Kaleb. Thank you, Nathan. Justin, thank you. And we will see you all on the next episode of our Lion Fight Zoom chats.
Bye, guys.